Hey everybody, Derek from Bomb Socks here with more Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ, one bite at a time. So section 71 of the Doctrine and Covenants has, in my opinion, one of the coolest verses in the Doctrine and Covenants. So you got to look at the section heading first to get some context. So this is given in December of 1831. At this point, you got some guys who are kind of throwing wrenches into the works. You got Ezra Booth and Simon's Ryder, among many, who used to be members of the church. They were both guys who joined the church they both saw miracles happen, but those miracles didn't sustain them. Because when you join the church because of a miracle, you almost are just like, hey, do that again. That was awesome. And that's kind of what you have to sustain your life with. And that's not how it worked out. Both of those guys became bitter enemies to the church. So in the section heading, it says, the brethren were to go forth to preach in order to allay, which means to distinguish or diminish the unfriendly feelings that had developed against the church as a result of the publications of letters written by Ezra Booth, who had apostatized. So Ezra was the first real apostate who really started fighting against the church hard. So this section is about him. So you go to verses 7 through 11. This is a pretty short section, verses 7 through 11. Wherefore, confound your enemies. Okay, confound means to cause surprise in someone, especially by acting against the way that they expect you to act. It really means to defeat, is what it means. So, confound your enemies, call upon them to meet you both in public and in private, and inasmuch as you are faithful, their shame shall be made manifest. That's a cool verse. Now, wherefore, let them bring forth their strong reasons against the Lord. Verily, thus saith the Lord unto you, there is no weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. And if any man lift his voice against you, he shall be confounded in mine own due time. Wherefore keep my commandments, they are true and faithful. Even so, amen. You know, going back to that verse 9, I love that 9. That's a reference from the Old Testament in Isaiah. No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper. That is such a cool phrase. And confounding your enemies in ways that they do not expect you to act. I saw this t-shirt. I thought it was kind of fun. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Again, it's written in Isaiah there. But a few questions I want to throw at you. What are some of Satan's greatest weapons formed against you today? And it's going to be different for every person. I mean, there's the standard weapons that we all get thrown at us, the temptations, but what are some specific ones to you? And we don't need to answer that out loud, but maybe there are some that he specifically uses against you. How do we confound Satan today? By acting against the way that he expects us to act when he uses those weapons against us. I'll come back to that in a second. And then another question, how can the promise that none of these weapons will prosper give you comfort? I remember having two young men, and I may have shared this story before, but two young men who, when the conference center in Salt Lake City opened up, you know, if you've been to the conference center, you're going to have protesters. You've seen it happen. It's going to happen. There's going to be people who are fighting against you. Whenever you are standing for truth and righteousness, be prepared for opposition. It's going to happen. And so I guess there was a preacher there who was just being horrible to the members of the church. Just really just telling everybody, you know, you're going to hell, Joseph Smith's a blankety blank blank blank, you know, all the things that you always hear, the old things that have been going on for years and years. These guys aren't good at it. They're just obnoxious and persistent. That's what they are. And so anyway, these two young men, these righteous young men, were just like, we got to stop this guy. So at the time, they went over to the mall. It was like a rainy April, and they went across to the mall over across the street. It's a different mall than there's now, but they went over, got a hot chocolate, got a blanket, got an umbrella. And they went up to this guy, and they were, as he's sitting there saying, you Mormons aren't Christians, you're horrible individuals. They went up to him, they gave him the hot chocolate, they gave him the umbrella, and they put a blanket around him, and they just said, good luck to you. Have a good day, man. And they said, he was just like, you Mormons aren't Christian. Thanks. You know. And they said within 5 minutes, he was gone. That is confounding your enemies. You're acting in a way that they don't particularly expect you to act in. And because we do that, no weapon that is formed against us will prosper if we will act in a way that the enemy does not expect us to act in. And I think there's some power there with that. So that's what the Lord's trying to teach them. And as you do this, again, back to this, yeah, they'll be confounded in mine own due time, and their shame will be made manifest. That's a powerful promise there in this section. So anyway, love this section. It's got some great promises in there. You stay faithful. Be kind, be compassionate, but defend. And I know that's true. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And thanks for sharing. Godspeed. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.